I managed to graduate college without like a burgeoning alcohol addiction or a permanent STD, which I think, like just statistically speaking, puts me ahead of at least some of the people in this room. But I did manage to make my fair share of mistakes, most of which were 100% unforced errors, right? And when I think about them, I realize that a lot of them can be directly attributed to what is simultaneously my most distinctive and least appealing character trait, which is that I desperately need to be right about everything all the time, right? And I've always been like a terrible know-it-all, right, like from childhood, but college introduced me to a lot of like new terminology, like biblical hermeneutics and dialectical materialism and Marxist liberation ideology or whatever, that allowed me to like really up my game and push me into the ranks of the truly obnoxious know-it-all, right? And in case any of you are wondering if anything's changed, I work in policy here, right? So all that's different is I get paid to be that way now. So, but I ended up double majoring in anthropology and French because who needs marketable skill sets, I guess, I don't know. And my senior year, I was in a French seminar class, the subject of which was human sexuality in the body, and it was me and 6 other women and Brad. And yeah, guys, Brad was tall and blonde and handsome, and he wore a lot of hat necklaces with puka shells and smelled vaguely like beer and weed all the time. And once said to me in all seriousness, I think people have a lot of trouble handling my intensity, but that's mostly because like my central velocity is just like balls out, you know? I'm like, yeah. Didn't matter, guys. He was the only straight male French major at that entire school, and I was in love with him. Now, in my defense, I have terrible taste in men, right? So, the only other person of note in that class was a woman who we will call Candy because she was a stripper, for real. She stripped to pay for college, which evidently exists in real life. And I did not approve of Candy, which I told myself at the time was because of my like very staunch feminist principles, but was actually because she got a lot of what I thought was like an inordinate amount of attention from Brad, the love of my life, right? So, but worse than that, like just far, far worse, was that she was better than me at French by a lot, right? Which, if you're a know-it-all, is like tantamount to a declaration of war, right? Like, she was essentially my arch nemesis in that class. And I want to be very clear, this rivalry was like entirely one-sided. She had no understanding of like the seething tensions underpinning our interactions in class, right? So she was certainly unaware when those tensions came to a head at the end of the year, when it was time for our like end of the year, like quarter of your grade presentation, right? And I was giving a presentation on tattoos and tattooing for whatever reason, I don't know. And it was the week before class, my professor turns to me and she says, oh, Liz, remember, you're presenting next week. And I go, great. And I turn to go and Candy turns to me and she says, bon, Liz, pourquoi présentes-tu ce tatouage? Tout n'a bien. And of course, because I understood her, I said, oh, wait. And at this, yeah, some of you already know. Anyway, Brad perks up and he goes, oh, you have a tattoo? That's super cool. Where is it? And I realized that I've made a mistake. What I thought she said was, oh, are you presenting a tattooing? So I said, yes. But that is not what she said. What she said was, why are you presenting a tattooing? Do you have one or what? But now I've made this mistake in front of her, which has garnered me the attention of Brad, the love of my life, right? So instead of saying like a normal person, oh, I'm so sorry, misunderstood you, I don't actually have a tattoo, what I said was, oh, it's right here. Now, again, I want to be so clear. If I were going to put together like a short list of places I would never get a tattoo, I'd say my ass is in the top 5, easy, like real easy. And at this, my professor jumps in and she says, oh, well, will the story of your tattoo be in your presentation, right? So like I still have time, right? Like I can like steer this like away from her, right? But instead, I open my stupid mouth and I say, oh yeah, absolutely, it's a great story. It's a great story. So now I'm committed. I have to tell this story about this imaginary tattoo, like why I got it, what it is, and most importantly, why no one can see it. And as I'm leaving class, like the panic starts to like really set in, and I start to think like, maybe I should just get a tattoo. I don't know. Maybe I should get a tattoo and be that person now. I don't know. Maybe I want a tattoo. I don't know. And then I remember that I've got like 4 days to come up with a good lie, right? So I just need to relax. And I think any effective liar will tell you, an accomplished liar, there are 3 rules to effective lying, right? The first is the appearance of confidence, which I've already got because I'm a know-it-all, right? Two is you want to keep the lie as close to the truth as possible, or you want to weave it in with the truth. It helps you to sell yourself on your own bullshit, right? And then third is you want to keep it very simple, because extraneous details are suspicious and they're hard to keep track of as time goes on, okay? I'm taking notes, but so I decide first to wear a dress on the day of the presentation, which obviates any questions about why they cannot see it, fine. And I decide that I've gotten my tattoo because I had done this field study trip to Nepal for like 8 weeks, and it had been this like epic, meaningful thing that had determined my decision to join the Peace Corps, and I'd gotten a tattoo to commemorate that experience. All of that stuff was true, except for like that part at the end, right? So fine. The day of the presentation rolls around, and I am so keyed up on adrenaline, right? Like I am ready for the 20 questions that surely will be coming at me about this tattoo that I've made up. Right? And I want to add that the amount of time and energy that I poured into picking my fake tattoo, like what it was, is embarrassing to me a decade after the fact, okay? Because Brad was going to be in the audience, right? So I needed this tattoo to communicate like a lot of things about me as a person. I needed it to communicate, first of all, that I'm super cool, okay? One. Two, that I'm like worldly and sophisticated and like maybe a little dangerous, but also potentially fuckable, okay? But also, hold on, that I'm a real classy lady, okay? So the stakes were so high, right? I won't even go into what I considered them rejected, right? Because nothing could be more tacky and embarrassing than what I actually picked, which was the Om symbol. Yeah, now, you already know, right? It's the opposite of the things I needed it to be. So tacky. So, the day the presentation rolls around, right, and I'm expecting it, like lots of questions, no questions. Like, nobody asked me a single question. Everything goes fine. You know, I'm sure I'm past the presentation or whatever. Which, of course, at the time I thought was because I had spun such a good yarn about this tattoo, but it's actually because why the fuck would anyone lie about that? Why? Nobody would lie about this thing. It's like, you don't even benefit. Who cares, right? Who cares? And I'd love to tell you, right, that Brad had some amazing revelation about my classy fuckability or whatever. Of course he did not. He did not. I never saw him again. And now there are 9 people just like floating out there in the world who think I have an Om symbol tattooed on my ass, which is horrible. It's horrible. But then on the upside, right, like I did come to realize that lying just to get out of a tough or uncomfortable situation is usually just as easy as the truth, and in any case is better than getting shown up by the stripper in your French class. So.